it's Hailey, and today is Bookmas Day 9, so I'm going to be looking back on my 2021 5-star predictions and seeing how accurate that was. So before we get into the video, don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell icon so you'll be notified whenever I post, because I'm posting a new video every single day for the entire month of December, and I will also have the playlist linked down below if you guys wanted to get caught up. But on Bookmas Day 6, I believe it was, I did my first reading vlog of Bookmas, and for that one I read some of my 5-star predictions. I'm filming this before, so I have no clue how that actually went, but I included a fair number of books in my predictions video last year, and I did kind of a mix. I'm not sure if it was exactly 50-50, but I did a mix of books that I just had on my TBR that were out already and 2021 releases that I thought that I was really going to love. So it was so interesting actually looking back on the list. I've actually read most of them, which I'm very proud of. There are some that I didn't get the chance to get to, but most of them I did get to read. So I'm really excited to do this again for 2022 and see which ones I think I'm gonna love, and then I'll be able to look back on it. It's a lot of fun. Now, this year I did stop rating books, which was a great decision for me, but that also means like I don't have 5 stars or 4 stars. However, I do have a general like 5-star feeling, so I still will be able to tell you basically if I loved it or not. And spoiler alert, it is kind of mixed, but I feel like I do have like a pretty good inkling of what I'm going to love, which is very interesting. So let's just get into the list. The first book that I wanted to talk about, I don't own anymore, which is not a great sign, but that book is Lost in the Neverwoods by Aiden Thomas. This was a 2021 release that I thought I was sure to love because this author's previous book ended up on my favorite books of the year list for 2020. I was so blown away by it, and that book is Cemetery Boys, by the way. So I was really excited for Lost in the Neverwoods. It's a Peter Pan retelling. I love Peter Pan. I love retellings, and it's by an author that I know that I've really enjoyed their work before. But unfortunately, if you watched my previous Bookmas video, I forget what day it is, but the day where I was talking about DNFs, you know that I didn't even finish this book. I just, the writing was great. Like, I do still think that they're an amazing writer, and I will still try other books of theirs. But unfortunately, this one definitely wasn't a 5-star for me. I was very confused. Like, I felt like it was repetitive, just Wendy wondering like what she's not remembering and trying to piece things together, but she wasn't even really trying to piece things together because she wasn't going anywhere. That was one of the main issues. I got 40% of the way through or so, and there wasn't a lot of movement or momentum to the story. It just kind of was like meandering in the same area, and for that reason I just didn't want to continue with it. So this one definitely wasn't a 5-star. I was wrong with that prediction, but oh well, you can't win them all. Next is Lives of Saints by Leigh Bardugo. Pretty much whenever there's a new Leigh Bardugo book out, you can kind of guarantee that it's gonna be on my 5-star predictions list because I just love her. She's like my favorite author. However, I haven't, like, not every book of hers has been 5 stars for me. I would say Ninth House was closer to like 4-ish stars, but Lives of Saints I did actually really enjoy. So I tend to really enjoy short story compilations that are set in a world that I already know and love and just like expand upon that world, because they read like fairy tales but for a world that I'm already familiar with, if that makes any sense. I don't know how to describe it, but I just have like a soft spot in my heart for them. And this one was no exception. I did really enjoy it. I think I like The Language of Thorns a little bit more, but this was still awesome. These stories are very, very, very short. Compared to like other short story compilations that I've read, they're really short. There's some that are like just a couple of pages, but look at the illustrations. Like, that alone is enough to make me love it. But you're getting the story of all the saints from the Grishaverse, and this is actually the book that the main character of Shadow and Bone is like carrying with her. It's just so fascinating and expands upon the world, but reads like real like fairy tales about these saints. It just made everything seem so realistic. I feel like these kind of books just tie everything together, and I'm a sucker for that. Speaking of, my next 5-star prediction was Tales from the Hinterland by Melissa Albert. So this is similar to Lives of Saints because it is the book from the Hazelwood. So in the Hazelwood, the main character's grandmother is the writer of Tales from the Hinterland, which is this book of fairy tales. They're really weird, bizarre, and it has a very small but like dedicated cult following. And in the Hazelwood, it's super important, obviously. It like sets off the whole story. So I thought I was gonna give this one 5 stars, and it is like, it's a short story fairy tale compilation again, but I don't think this one was quite 5 stars for me. I did really enjoy it, but I don't think it was a favorite of mine. I feel like these fairy tales were a little bit longer, and there were certain ones that I enjoyed more than others, which I mean is to be expected of any compilation like this. But specifically, there's one that's like super central to the Hazelwood, and I felt like that one kind of was one of the more boring ones, unfortunately. There also was one that reminded me of Coraline in here, so I absolutely hated that one. That just was no thank you. But this does have illustrations once again, so you do get more of that, which is always nice with these sorts of compilations. But it's definitely more spooky, eerie, and I do think that it expanded upon the world of the Hazelwood a lot. I just think that I kind of wanted a little bit more than that. It's close to being an accurate prediction, but just not quite. My next 5-star prediction is The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. Kind of like Leigh Bardugo, if there's a new Christina Lauren book, I probably will include it on my 5-star predictions, but that is a little bit different because I have been really up and down with their books. But this one, the concept did sound like something I was going to love. And I think this was an accurate 5-star prediction because I had a really good time reading this one. I felt like it was very different than the books that they normally write, and I liked that. It was a refreshing twist because it was like kind of not sci-fi, but it was just different. It follows this dating service that is based on genetics. So it like analyzes your DNA to figure out who the best match for you would be. And the main character is a single mom. She's really content to be by herself, but then she ends up signing up for this dating service, and she ends up being a near perfect match with the founder of the dating service. So they start this fake dating relationship for publicity purposes, because obviously, you know, what better way to advertise your new dating service that hasn't launched yet than like having a pretty much perfect match. This book had super charming characters, and I think that was one of the things that made me fall in love with it. It had a very cute romance, but there was also a lot more going on. I didn't expect to enjoy the fact that the main character was a mother and her relationship with her daughter so much, but that was really nice. And I also wasn't expecting the friendship. Like the best friend was amazing, and I want her to get her own story because she was fabulous. Basically, this book was quite different for them, but it was also exactly what I love about them. It was a lot of fun, but had some depth to it as well, and had characters that you really can't help but love. So I had a great time with this one, and I think I was right with my prediction. My next 5-star prediction was Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. This is the second book to Skyward. I forget, is it the Skyward series? I don't know what it's actually called. Actually, there's been a couple of novellas that have come out now that I really need to read, and the 3rd book is coming out soon, so I need to pre-order that. But I read this in early 2021, and I am happy to say it definitely was an accurate prediction. This book wasn't what I expected it to be, because obviously, like, I knew it was a sequel to Skyward, but it's so different than Skyward and just makes the world entirely explode. You see all sorts of different aliens and creatures and different characters, and like, it was just so cool because it was a completely different reading experience than Skyward, but still like expanded upon the characters as well and tied everything together. So it was really fascinating to learn more about this world, but feel like I'm reading something fresh and new, if that makes sense. So I loved following Spencer again, loved the setting and the concept for this one. I feel like it kept me on the edge of my seat, and I feel like, you know, Satonic, I think it's called Satonic, that's the 3rd book, by the way. That will also be on my 5-star predictions, probably. Next is Early Departures by Justin A. Reynolds. I remember I included this on my 5-star predictions list because I read Opposite of Always and was just blown away. Like, I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did, but I enjoyed it so much. And this book, it's not that I don't even know how to describe my experience reading this book, because it was just so emotional. and I don't think I've ever had a reading experience like that before. So I knew that like Justin A. Reynolds, his thing kind of is writing contemporaries with a twist. So I knew the twist. I knew that this was about best friends who got into a fight and then the one friend died. But then he's able to be brought back to life for a short period of time thanks to this like reanimation technology. So they can say goodbye to each other. What I wasn't expecting was like how sad it was going to be and the layers of grief, and not even just with the friend, but like the main character is super damaged and he is struggling with so much, and you see how it affects him and how it's shaped him and him trying to overcome that. Like it was just such a multifaceted story that, oh my goodness, I feel like everyone should read. But this was definitely an accurate 5-star prediction, and I'm actually gonna have to see if he has any new books coming out, because like I definitely want to read it. Next is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. If you watch my favorite books of the year list, then you know this was also an accurate 5 out of 5-star prediction. Like I said, like I'm pretty good at knowing what I'm going to like in most cases, but this was really, really enjoyable. This was the second book by Emily Henry, the second chick lit or adult romance book by her rather, because she does have some YA that I've read before. But Beach Read came out last year, took everyone by storm, and including me, I really enjoyed it. So when I heard she had a new book coming out, I knew I was gonna love it. But then I heard the concept for it too. And it's about a travel guide writer who, it's like a friends to lovers story. She was in love with her best friend, but now they haven't talked for years, and then they end up going on a vacation together again, like they used to when they were younger. So I was like, oh my God, travel writing, friends to lovers, recipe for success. And indeed, it was a recipe for success. I had such a blast with this one, and Emily Henry has quickly become an auto-buy author for me. Next is I Want to Be Where You Are by Christina Forrest. So I actually read Christina Forrest's most recent release before reading this one, but I really enjoyed both of them. I think this would be more of a 4-star for me, so not quite a 5-star, but I did really, really like it. This is about a girl who has a passion for ballet, and she is not supposed to be going to this audition, but she decides that she's going to go on her own. And then her neighbor, who used to be her best friend, but she hasn't talked to in a very long time, he sees her and sees that she's going, and he agrees to like keep it a secret as long as she lets him go with her. So he goes with her and they take this road trip, and it's a very coming of age story, but there's also such an adorable romance. So there was a lot that works for me in this book that I really, really liked and had a great time reading it. Next is Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. Obviously, I predicted this was going to be 5 out of 5 stars, and it definitely was. I love Angie Thomas. Like, I knew I would probably love this one, but I was skeptical because I'm always a little bit nervous when authors add on to a series. However, in this case, it hasn't been that long. I mean, The Hate You Give isn't a series, but what I mean is like prequels and sequels that weren't preconceived always make me just a little bit nervous, because there's been a couple of times, you know, I've been burned before. However, it hasn't been that long since The Hate You Give came out, and I loved Maverick as a character in The Hate You Give. He's Star's father, so I was really excited to see him as a teenager, and I was not disappointed at all. This was definitely like, there's some sad elements to the story, but it was also so wholesome to see him learning how to be the best father that he can, making mistakes along the way, and she just writes the most dynamic characters and families that I've ever read before. So definitely an accurate prediction right here. And the final 5 out of 5 star prediction that I read this year, I didn't actually finish, but I did want to talk about it. So that is 13 Doorways, Wolves Behind Them All by Laura Ruby. So the thing with this book, I tried to start it 4 times and I haven't formally DNF'd it yet. We'll see. But I tried to start it and it was in the middle of the move, so I don't know if that is what the issue was, but I just could not get into this book and I was so confused. I felt like I was for sure gonna love this book because it's a historical fiction, it's a different time period, and it's following sisters, and it's just such a confusing synopsis. Like one of the characters is dead, but then the other's alive and is in an orphanage, and I still don't really know like who's who or what is happening. And I got like, I would say like 100, 150 pages through it. Like I got pretty far through it. So I haven't DNF'd it. I don't know if this will be an accurate 5 out of 5 star prediction, but as it stands, I doubt it, but I mean, if you have read this book, let me know if it's worth it to continue or if I should just call it and DNF it. I would love to know because I'm very conflicted on it. So those are all the books that I have read so far from my 5-star predictions video for this past year, but I feel like I was pretty accurate, which is awesome. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's just really interesting to look back on. So don't forget to watch the vlog that I posted a few days ago if you wanted to see a couple more books from my 5-star predictions video that I actually am reading in the vlog. I'm not sure which ones I'll read yet, but I'll have that link down below for you guys, as well as the entire Bookmas playlist so you guys can get caught up. And also don't forget to click the subscribe button so you won't miss any of the Bookmas videos that I'll be posting. I think I may have called this Bookmas Day 8 at the beginning of the video, but I can't remember. This is what happens when I'm filming so many videos in a row, but today is actually Bookmas Day 10, just in case I did accidentally say 8. Oops. But tomorrow for Bookmas Day 11, I'm doing a video I'm super excited for, which is where I asked you guys for what your like best and worst books were for this past year, and then I'm going to be talking about them. I compiled them all into a little list and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you tomorrow with another one. Bye!